Good evening. This was supposed to be the Building and Facilities Construction Committee meeting of Wednesday, January 16th, 2019. It is now 7:18, and we do not have a quorum, so we are going to hold an informational meeting. So Bill, would you update
Sure.
us on the issues that are before us?
Sure. So in your packet, the first item is the Green Energy Committee, which you are designated. I'll review the Green Communities Designation Grant funding. As you know, we did receive a grant from the state for $145,940. We're in the process of utilizing those funds for 3 projects for the town. The first project is the LED streetlight project, retrofitting the streetlights. The library hyperheat system, which has been completed. And lastly, the library weatherization, which actually began today. With regard to the streetlight projects, you'll see in your spreadsheet that I've included in your packet, the invoices, the contract values that we have. I have a column there for change orders, the total of those two, and how much has been billed against those. I expect the highlighted cells under the billed column, we will get additional bills in that column to get us up to the contract values. With regard to change orders, I expect the only remaining change orders would come from Arden. Arden is the installation contractor for the fixtures that we are furnishing. We did have a minor issue with one of the deliveries from Fred Davis. It actually delayed us about a week. It was around Christmas time. They told us the shipment would come. We informed Arden that the shipment would be here on a particular date. They lost track of the shipment, and it was delayed about a week. We expect they're going to submit a change order with regard to standby time. We will ask Fred Davis to participate in that cost. So, with regard to the hyperheat, as I mentioned, that was on budget and it's 100% complete. Lastly, the weatherization, we did have a little glitch. The contractor, Air Barrier Systems, which was out of New York, was unaware that they needed a licensed building installer. So they initially mobilized. We had some issues with them pulling a building permit. We checked around with 4 different commissioners. They all agree that in fact a building permit is required for the weatherization. So that delayed them about a week. They came out on site today. The library will be closed the next 2 days because they'll be doing spray foam installation in the ceiling. And we're presuming if everything goes fine with that, that'll be done by Saturday. And we'll get an invoice with regard to that shortly thereafter. They did, and just to cross all the Ts and dot all the Is, they did get a licensed individual to file the building permit application. With regard to the breakdown further in the spreadsheet that I've provided, I've been submitting invoices to the town accountant and trying to divvy up the invoices, and it's a little bit of a crystal ball act, but nonetheless, we're trying to remain on target between the way our funding is broken out. As you know, the DOER grant funding is a lump sum, $145,940, distributed among the various projects. We did have 2 separate town meeting appropriations, $65,000 for the streetlights and $35,000 for library improvements. So we want to utilize the maximum amount of the grant funds, obviously, and then supplement the balance with the town meeting funds. And so this is kind of a picture, a snapshot in time. Over the next week, we're really going to solidify this as the final invoices and change orders come in from the various contractors. So the bottom 2 spreadsheets that you see in this table are my estimate. We're going to be in the range of these two. So if we max out the town meeting funds, that first box, which I don't expect will be the case, I'm just providing the range.
Yep.
That's what the numbers will look like with regard to that. And then we'll have, the lowest amount of town meeting contribution would be the 89,000 there, for all the projects.
Just so I understand, that keeps it liquid, but we expect these reimbursement grants will replenish the.
After the fact, and, this is an issue with the town accountant, okay? We do get an additional, I'm estimating 57,000 on the back end of the project, but those can't be used to offset the town meeting funds based upon my conversations with the town accountant.
Anyone else have any other questions?
So what is she gonna do? She's gonna put it into.
General fund,
General fund.
yes.
So it does get recaptured, it's just.
It gets recaptured, it just can't be applied against this particular project.
Okay. That makes sense. She does that so that we don't spend out of it.
Yep.
So that's a snapshot of the green project. And the goal is, I believe in March, the competitive grant rounds are due. And that's when that's the big rush to utilize these funds on the designation grant.
Right.
So that in March, we can compete against other towns for funds for other projects.
Yeah. And you have a list of other projects?
We do.
Okay.
Have they indicated, because there's some homework that needs to be done.
Yes.
Do they have a recommendation for us?
Well, we have our energy plan that we really probably will work against, but that's also a live plan. I know we've talked about the charging stations here, the police department.
We did, but the focus has been the discussion of the main roof of this building.
Yeah.
It's perforated in so many different ways by HVAC units and
Right.
the old passive ducting
Yep.
system for the school. It's very, very inefficient. You only have 2 of your 4 units working.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's an expensive project. We'll need a crane to take all this stuff off the top of the building, and then we'll have to. So, if we could match, I think we'd also improve our competitive chances.
Mm-hmm.
So we might be bringing it to town meeting. The capital committee will decide where that falls.
Yeah.
We did have an event this year where we had flooding on the second floor from a wind-driven rain. The settlement, insurance settlement was in the high 30s, right?
37,000.
So that's in the general fund, in stabilization, I think is where she puts it. Sorry.
Nope, that's good.
Anyone else?
No.
So I did have Maria copy in your packet, the status of the library project. so
Yes.
that's in there.
Yeah, okay.
So
But that
for
should be
people who-
done this week, Saturday?
By Saturday, that's the plan.
Better hurry.
Okay.
The weather,
Great.
spoil everything.
So not everyone at home can see the numbers. That's a $115,000 investment in the library building to make it, the structural integrity and the usefulness of the building.
Mm-hmm.
I did
The-
tour the library. building.
The old micro splits were really dead, like the compressor was, so that had to be done, that $56,000 project.
Yep.
So they went from just being cooling to being both heating and cooling. Then we'll weather tight the building so that we rely as little as possible on the old boiler. And it's a rather extraordinary pressure vessel.
Oh, God.
You have to speak a few different languages to it. Pat it on the
Yeah.
head and it might run.
Hope she runs.
It's not like the old elementary school where Mr. Rawson used to shovel coal.
No,
right?
no, this is a regular boiler, it's just,
But is
it's
this,
been there a long time.
yeah, not as long as the
Not
one?
as the one, no, not as long as the
Okay.
one here.
All right.
not yet, no.
But still,
Yeah,
it
it's still,
should be
that one's.
updated?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, I would
which,
think.
this takes a lot of pressure off of it, by
Yeah.
having these units. It does, it takes a lot of pressure off of it, so, which is good.
All right.
So next on the list is municipal fire alarm. What I've included in your packet is the accounting for the project, and I do want to, no, not this one. So that's a reflection of what our current funds are for the project. Adam did have some conversations with Modern, and I'll let him address that.
So I went back out to Modern for my third time just to get an updated, revised estimate. And we're now at 59,985. This is for the gym windows. So just.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Kind of jumped
Yeah,
on, you know.
we're jumping all over
I
here.
didn't know if we were just.
It wasn't Modern, it was somebody else who talked to him.
Oh, it was, yeah.
On
we had
the
talked-
alarm
On the
system.
alarm system. Is
Yeah.
that what you're doing?
I'm
So-
sorry, yeah.
We had talked
Packet's a
to
little
Johnson
longer.
Controls, which is actually Simplex.
Right.
Bill, Matt and I had met with him. He did give us a figure of, I think it was 101,374,
Okay.
exactly. Or in that general area for the fire alarm system, barring anything else that happens. That's without any design or anything. That's just directly from their company, which puts us in a threshold to have to do procurement, a lot of procurement stuff, and that would actually put us over by the time we did all that. Again, like I spoke the last time, we do have the police station here, and the whole building being one as a package, it makes more sense, he brought up to us, to look at the whole building, design it for one panel, and then have it all put together into one system. Because this system should last us 40 years or more, and the police department may not be here. They may leave here at some point, and right now, we don't have a monitoring system that runs it. We have a dispatcher who hears the alarm go off and notifies us. So if we did it all correctly the one time, we shouldn't need to do it again for 40 some odd years, hopefully. And so he'd kind of backed us up a little bit and have us rethinking what we're doing. Bill's been reaching out to some
Well,
designers, and, we're gonna
Well, just to give you a little history, we did, as you may recall, we did go out to bid at one point, and we did get one bid.
Yes.
That bidder, based upon the funds we had, was concerned that we didn't have enough money
Right.
to do the full scope. They verbally, during the walkthrough, were talking about possibly breaking the project into two separate parts. So, I think at that point in time, we were talking about just utilizing Modern and,
Johnson.
Johnson.
Yeah, his name Modern's the one.
I'm sorry, Johnson. And just using Johnson and basically seeing what kind of price they gave us. The prices that we're getting now are higher and might be worthwhile considering still going with a designer, putting it out to bid, perhaps increasing the fee that we have so that we get more interest in the design portion. So I think that's an acceptable approach.
And as all my projects says, without having someone to design it, these guys come in here, they walk through, they count this, and they don't have the whole scope in mind. They're not looking at the hiddens, and we end up, just like every project that I put forth in capital, there's always little asterisks. I always put them because I don't know what they're gonna find. I don't know what's in the walls. I don't know, in the crawl spaces. So there's always issues if we have someone come in and design the whole thing. They've got to get up in that crawl space to figure out where they are. They've got to be there and say, hey, wait a minute, I found this. So this is someone that can actually help us a little more than
Yeah.
what we do, and I think that's a great idea to go forward in that direction.
Questions?
No, I think it's a
Comments?
responsible thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, the way it was left last time, and I think we're still on that track, is I'll update the designer bid documents, the RFQ, and re-advertise and re-solicit that, and we'll take it from there.
And again, that could also break out the police department and have them do the whole thing. And now we could take, we can figure all that out as we go.
So we're still on track for that one.
Now, gym windows,
Okay.
unless we want to talk about the gym doors since Ryan's here. Are you here for both, Ryan, or?
I'm really just, I think the doors is a quick fix, I just didn't want the warranty, I didn't know what the warranty was, so I'm here for the windows, actually.
Okay. So, in your packet, you'll see I have a breakdown of the accounting. The 10,000 that was specifically allocated and limited to engineering design. and the 95 was supplemental funds that came in 2018 for just the project in general. Just so we understand that there is specific earmarking for those funds. So Adam did talk to Modern on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did, I did reach out to him again, ask for an updated quote. This was the third one that I've received since 2014. It did go up, I don't actually have the figure, I'll probably do in this packet, of how much it went up, but you had a percentage, Matt, you just told me it went up
33%.
33%. So, since the original one, this one, the original one was 42,935,
And what year was that, Adam?
2014, August 20th, 2014. And now it's 59,985 at this time. The one thing on the asbestos abatement disposal here, they have an estimated cost of $13,775. I did forward them the report that we had. And one thing we did discuss, which I think we stated wrongly on this board, is that we did find asbestos in the caulking, the glazing on the window.
Okay.
I know we stated we didn't, we were looking at another project that was upstairs, and that's why we stated it wrong.
Yeah, I remember
But
we
the
talked
gym
about
windows
that
did
in
have
the
the
last
end.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did say it, and after the fact, I realized I went the wrong way with that one, but, there is asbestos in the glazing, it'll be fine, like, I've talked to many people, as long as no one's chewing on it, you know, that's it, you should have no problem with the way to get rid of it, but, again, but there is a cost associated to that. I did forward that to them, I'm assuming, and before they gave us this estimate in that $13,775. It says estimated cost for that anyway. So, that should be calculated in there. And we do have, what do we have? 95,000. So, it's in the range, I don't know the direction, I mean, that's the board's decision on that.
So from my perspective, this project's fairly straightforward with regard to the scope. While we may question the new proposal, the fact is, and I think it's also indicative of the reason that the individual from Modern didn't attend tonight, they were supposed to, is they're kind of been waiting in a holding pattern for a number of years
Yes.
for this project.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is probably indicative of the fact that they're questioning the viability or aspects of the project.
Right.
We have that happen often with a lot of projects that, especially building projects, you start out, and you get someone to come in and you're like, can you give me a quote on this? And then it takes a year or two to get the money, and then it's another year. So then I ask them for another updated quote, and then it's another year, and then we get the funds, and now we're at year number 4 before we actually get going on a project. And so they do get a little upset.
They
you
gotta
know.
be used to that too.
Some of them are, and that's it, and
They
it
should be,
is, you know, business, I mean, they should
Sophisticated
understand
enough
it.
to understand how the process works.
And it's a town, it's a municipality, it's not
Right.
as in a regular business that can, in
Right.
30 days can have their permit and be going on a project, we don't have
Make a
that.
decision
Yeah.
and go on.
So, but again, I mean, they did say to me is, if we choose them or however it works, we'll be happy to attend once that we get going on it, or, you know, once we get forward into the process.
So this will be on our agenda the next,
Yes,
Meeting.
I'll tell you what we're planning on doing, unless anyone has any questions. I think at this point, we will plan with Matt's concurrence to proceed with Modern. I don't think in this particular case we necessarily need a set of bid documents. I mean, I know Adam has a sample of a product that he thinks might be suitable. It might be appropriate to just, given the magnitude of the project and the scope, maybe we don't want to have an engineer do bid drawings and documents, and we just want to.
We don't, but we're still over the threshold.
Well, it's both. I did include this in your packet.
That's design standards. Well, for 149,
149.
we being over 50, we have to advertise in the commercial register,
Central Register.
central register, and combis. No, that's 100.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on your
So
agenda, I put
50,
a,
But we still have to solicit 3 quotes.
procurement charts. So on your agenda, and you have a live link at home, so if you click on it
Right.
at home, you'll see IG procurement charts there at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yep,
So under 100,000 is sound business practices for 149.
Really?
Yep. And,
Did they change that too?
I'm sorry, under 10,000.
Under 10.
So 10 to 50 is Combis, website, and central register. That's
Oh,
10 to 50. Over 50 is sealed bids for 149. So if we're collecting sealed bids, we might want to have a designer, is that
No,
what you think?
no. No, I think this
So
is perfect for an
We'll need to define the
IFB.
scope.
The written purchase description is a pretty straightforward
Okay.
project. It's an X number of wall openings of a certain size, and we can just put all of that in the purchase description. We just have to do the advertising steps.
Okay,
We can't just pick somebody.
okay. So,
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we can put this out as soon as possible, and then we'll set a project date with reference to the league's needs, and the obvious winter has to pass, but it would allow them to program it into their planning and
so we
staging.
could use this number as a basis for our estimate on the value.
Well, that's why this number was so significant.
Yeah.
The one prior was so close to 50, you could say, well, we'll just,
But,
you know.
but it's an estimate, so we,
Yeah.
like, more often than not, we'll get lower bids than the
That's
estimate.
true, but we have to work with the information we have in our hands. So even if, at this point, even if we broke the asbestos abatement out completely, which we don't really want to do because of the way this is gonna come down, you would still be over 50 with just the installation, so you gotta do it. Central Register has that 2-week lag time.
Yeah,
Also, this committee doesn't have a quorum to recommend that we go
Correct.
that route to the
Correct.
selectmen. And it's the selectmen who have to vote.
correct.
So,
Well,
next meeting on the agenda.
yes, so we'll probably have, at that point, I would suggest we try to have a document ready for your
Yeah.
review, and then you can make a recommendation.
Right. Unfortunately, we can't do it tonight.
Right.
Okay? Any
Yep.
questions?
No, yep, I'm sorry. Can I
Yep,
ask-
sure.
My name's Ryan Hogan, I'm from Douglas Youth Basketball, we use the gym, obviously. So just time frame, where are we looking at this point? Just because I'm getting to the point now, people are asking about spring use from the gym, and if the ruling is we're gonna do the project then, and we can't use the gym, that's fine, but I'm just kind of looking for a ballpark. Do we have any idea when we think, April, May?
Would they necessarily have to close the gym?
That's the
And
other
that's-
question. Do
I
they
would have to talk to
close the
them.
gym?
I
Is it-
would, I wouldn't know.
Installations would be scheduled between 8 AM and 4:30, Monday through Friday. A 3-foot clear work area needed prior to our arrival.
so it looks like they closed the gym.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And
But that's
again,
during the day.
That's during the day.
Correct, maybe but when you start dealing with asbestos, I just don't know, it's not
Right,
gonna be able
plus
to
you don't
use it
know
that-
how it's gonna be set up for them
Yeah,
to
is that gonna be
continue to
able,
work.
again, I don't, not pushing to say, let's do it that, way. Whatever it is, it is.
Yeah.
But just for planning purposes, I'm trying to get a sense of, you know, is
Sure.
it gonna be a 2-week project, or is it gonna be a month project?
I don't think they have to.
Does anybody know?
well, I think we would have to, whoever gets chosen would be the one to determine when.
I would think it's.
You'd have
it's-
to talk with them and
Exactly,
they
they'd have
could
to
give
see
you
what
an
their schedule's
idea.
gonna be, or
Yeah.
where we fall in line with it.
Right,
right.
I would think that would be,
Now, I understand your concern because you don't have the answers
I would be
to
surprised if it's more than a couple of weeks.
if
No,
I mean,
Yeah.
considering how quickly they banged out the windows, which we had the same issues
these ones are more
here.
difficult than the gym windows.
Correct.
These- Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Um,
So would we approximate, it would be a spring project? Do we think it would not be?
Definitely a spring project.
Definitely
We're
a
gonna
spring
open
project.
up to the elements. We wanna do it when it's a little bit warmer out.
Right, okay. The other thing I would say is if you get bumped to the summer, it's pretty, get a couple 90-degree days, it's pretty hot in there. The working
Yes.
conditions would be tough if they got bumped to the summer. The other question I would have is blinds for the left side of the gym as you walk in. Those blinds are
So supposedly,
original maybe?
Yeah, they were-
I'm concerned if we move them and try to put them back, it may not make the transition.
no, those ones.
They're not that cheap.
Yeah, well-
Unfortunately, we looked at replacing them and
No, they're expensive.
it was almost
And I
$1,000 a
believe
blind.
the discussion was with these windows, they're actually diffusing, they diffuse the light. You'll have light that comes through, but it won't be blinding. This is one of the things that all the gyms are doing.
I would still think you want blinds.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I would think
In the
so.
winter, that sun from the left side just bare, I mean, it just,
Yeah,
it's
I know.
low, so it comes right in, so it would have to diffuse quite a bit, not to become a hindrance. So I mean, basically, we keep those blinds closed all winter, and then the ones on the right-hand side of the gym, the sun's not there, so it's not an issue. But, again, if you told me basketball program has 5 years to replace each one of those blinds individually, we could probably afford to do that, but we couldn't do it all at once. And those blinds, are like every time one of them rolls up accidentally, when we roll it back down, we do it very slowly, because we're afraid it's just gonna disintegrate. They have to be 30, 40 years old.
I mean, I
So-
think the budget allows for funds to recoup the blinds, and, you know, we learned on
We
this
did.
project
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
town accountant
Yeah.
that these
Right.
accoutrements are
Yes.
important.
Yes.
That's the Latin plural.
What was this, but I don't think this project was approved with blinds. Because
It's
that
not.
was not, it's
No.
not approved. That's the, because it
Okay.
wasn't in there
I
when we
got the
originally
warrant
got it.
article,
Yeah.
yeah.
Believe me, she made me very specifically put it in for the police department. She gave me
Huh.
wording for it.
Thank God.
Yeah, well, I had to pay the $8,000 for these ones out of my
Uh-huh.
budget.
Understand, I remember.
Yeah.
That's what she did.
I think about the two on the far wall probably have to be down as well. Sunlight comes through there.
All it says is gym window replace, municipal gym windows.
Yeah, it doesn't ever have any breakdown with it.
But isn't that good? Gym windows, that's all it says.
Where was
It's
he?
not blinds.
Where was he? Was he paying attention?
Okay.
Windows.
Not
And
blind.
associated with.
I had to add this, yeah. She gave me the wording for the police department ones, all associated. I told her by the time I'm done this, I'm gonna buy a dump truck. I said, that's how the wording is gonna go on this one. She's not gonna get me again, but this was approved before all that happened, so.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's true.
Before,
too.
that's why the down, this money's been approved, and I
Nice
know,
try, Bill.
believe me, Bill, you
Oh,
know
we
me.
remember.
I'm all
I view
for
it
it.
as a unit.
I know,
No.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I tried
before.
that argument.
yeah, we did, she's good, she's good.
Okay, so this will be back
Sorry,
on the agenda for our recommendation,
You can always
right?
do GoFundMe.
I'm not sure blinds for my windows is gonna be
Yeah,
that.
you never know, you know,
do
there
never
might be a
know.
lot
I
of
would agree.
fans for
At a tournament in
basketball.
February, we put a little can out, anyone
Yes.
contributions for new window blinds, we'll see how it goes.
Anybody know how to play the guitar, can stand by the can?
Maybe. Okay. Bill, is it okay if I keep this paper?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep. Thank you for coming in.
Okay, so,
Police
moving along.
Department windows.
Police Department windows. We'll start with the accounting sheet. There's a summary of the funds available. We have $140,000 for this project, and I'm told it includes accoutrements.
Yes, this one does, this one's, yes.
Okay, so I did solicit a proposal from GRLA, as you may recall. They
Yep.
did have some legwork that was done on the design end of the.
When we were doing the others.
When we were doing the others,
Yep.
we had an amendment to the contract for them to also look at the police windows.
Right.
They actually had some drawings that they had prepared at that point in time.
Yep.
And they took the measurements and whatnot. So George is presenting this proposal, so if you take a look at it, I did ask for him for specifically a lump sum and not an hourly rate.
Good.
So that's how he presented it. He gave us a lump sum of $2380 in the proposal for the architectural. That's to update the bid documents, going through bidding, through construction, and project closeout. What I didn't like is that next paragraph under the fee summary, which talks about reimbursable expenses. So again, I want you to be aware, the way they've structured this is if they're charging for mileage or prints, that's gonna be over the 23.
I've heard that sign before.
Yeah.
So,
I can't say it pleases me.
My reaction was, this is 2 times what it should be. This should be about $12,000.
I don't disagree. But I think, again, because I did make a point of saying, you know, it's not hourly, he may have put some extra in there, I expect.
Yeah, but then you still got the other.
Because you
thing
might
down here,
recall
so-
on the other project, you know, we had some overages. that-
Yes,
Yes, I do. recall.
yeah.
I don't know, are you comfortable with that? Oh.
So,
Well, the 140, Adam, how did we get to 140?
The original number was from George?
Was it from George?
I think so, I thought it was from George. George gave us actually, he gave us 100 and, it was low, I added, I think like 20,000 onto it. And because of everything, the way things go, I just keep padding things
Yeah.
lately and trying to hope that we get under it and be happy that we give it back. But I don't exactly remember. I don't have anything. Yeah. I think it was all done when we did the first floor windows.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to,
Yeah, when we had, because George did design
right,
the police department windows during our first round of the
yeah.
town hall windows, and I believe that's when he gave us the estimate for that. I'd have to go back, it's probably labeled.
so
underneath.
if the 140 is in fact an accurate number, and I think it's probably more like 100, I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
well, like I said, I added shades and
Yeah.
I added things, I know he gave us a number close to that.
So that 23, it appears to be about double. Yeah. I maybe around 15 would probably be, because for these kind of projects, it's usually, I have the DCAM thing listed on there. I want to say it's around 15% for engineering design of the whole project fee.
Okay, so are you going to look elsewhere? Or-
Well, probably talk to Matt about recommendations.
Well, I think we'd just push back, we'd counter the number and say, if you can't do it for this, then
Okay,
we'll look and see
we'll
if
try
we can-
that, and then
You'll
if
be
that
back,
doesn't
yeah.
work, we'll try a couple other places.
Yep,
And the other
It's not a
part,
very complicated project.
right.
And he's already done some of it, so I don't
Exactly.
understand the premium.
Ginger, you have a question?
I don't know, I'm just not comfortable, that's all.
Yeah, we've been burnt once.
Yeah, and I don't see why we should walk into the same building.
Back on the agenda for the next meeting?
Sure. We'll try and iron out something with GRLA. If we can't, then we'll solicit a few other people.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And we don't want all that extra stuff at the end of the day that happened last time, and that
Right.
seems to be sitting
And I made
there.
that crystal clear with George.
Yep.
But is that sitting there? What we just read?
The only thing is
Opportunity for that to
reimbursables,
happen?
if he had to come out 6 times, you know, he charged mileage 6 times.
Mhm.
So we didn't want to just lock in the lump sum fee to that, I think. It's not atypical for a hourly consultant firm to do stuff like that.
Okay. So, that'll be on the agenda next time. Okay. Any other questions?
No.
All right, the minutes we will have on the next meeting's agenda.
Yes.
And the next meeting is gonna be February 20th unless it's recommended that we meet earlier to
If we
take
need,
care of
if we need to
these
meet
issues.
sooner, I'll let everyone know and see what your availability is.
Great. All right. Anyone, anything else? So, February 20th. Unless we hear different from Bill.
All right.
Great. Let's- I think we